Мне не нужен никто, и одинокие фразы, и печальный итог. Мой голубоглаз, мне не нужен никто, но я так скучаю, я увядший цветок, я тобою больная. Мне не нужен никто, я сама по себе, и какой в этом толк, уже слеза на губе. Я ненавижу тебя, ненавижу твой запах, может это любовь, аплодисменты, я снимаю шляпу. Ненавижу тебя, но и люблю это сложно. Смейся, смейся, мой бог, ведь я так ничтожна. Ненавижу тебя.
You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Well, good evening to our two prime constituencies, domestic violent extremists and federal informants. It's once again time for This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. He's Ben, I'm Hobbs. That's Sam over there. He's our special guest for tonight. Yes, two can play at that game. Yes, we are joined tonight with Sam Chaney from Weaponized News. Epic crossover, everybody. There's been a lot going on in the news tonight. More turmoil in the Middle East. A new speaker has been elected that may or may not be trying to usher in the apocalypse. A MK Ultra fluoride zombie gets triggered, and more. So let's jump into it. Sam, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing all right. How you doing? I'm excited about Halloween coming up, Satan's birthday, the high occult holiday of Halloween, as it's called. We've been seeing a lot of occult activity as we lead up to Halloween here now. Everybody needs to put all the mass shootings and all this type of misbehavior, World War III, and all this into the occult lens that we have here now, and see it that way, because that's why they're carrying out these blood rituals to serve their god Satan.
More than likely, yeah. If you stop taking a look at it as random and separate events going on, and you take a look at it more as a blood ritual and a human sacrifice towards Moloch or whatever other ancient pagan deity that they're trying to usher forth, yeah, it kind of does make a little bit more sense if you're into that sort of thing. So let's just let's jump off with the insanity going on in the Middle East right now. Simon actually just sent me a link that the UN General Assembly passed a resolution for a humanitarian truce, ceasefire, humanitarian aid, and the very last sentence of the post said that the resolution must be enforced. And I think that word must is carrying a lot of weight. Let's just see where it goes from there.
There's a direct challenge at the United Nations between China and the United States, and it looks like the European Union is going to sit this one out.
Yeah,
if you look at the vote, I don't know if you guys have the graphic of the. It was 120 yes, 14 no, and 45 abstentions, and then there was like 13 or 14 that didn't even show up for the vote. And so China is directly challenging the United States at the United Nations.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the big flaws of the among its many flaws of the United Nations is the fact that they've got those 5 permanent members of the Security Council, 2 of them being Russia and China, one of them being the United States. And considering we've got this head-butting rivalry between the two sides right there, and that all 5 of those permanent members have a veto power, when it comes to something as contentious as this, in an area as contentious as this, the the prospect of getting something meaningful done becomes a lot less likely, because just the other day when they had the resolution for a humanitarian ceasefire, Russia put something up and the United States vetoed it, not because it was a bad resolution. It was actually pretty milquetoast. They've just vetoed it because it was Russia.
Political, yeah.
Yeah. So we got people that are dying, just scores of people dying in bombings and rocket attacks and suicide bombs and God knows what else is going on over there.
Sterilizations here in the United States.
Yeah, and meanwhile they're over there playing dick measuring contest in the United Nations General Assembly.
So my thought over these last couple weeks, month of paying attention to the United Nations is that they're getting ready to phase out the United Nations as it's failed in its mission to keep world peace, and we've been having nothing but war around the world since it was established after World War II. They're getting ready to phase that out for the new world order, the Great Reset. And so they're going to say, well, United Nations doesn't do anything anyway to help anybody. And so we got to get rid of that to bring in our Great Reset, New World Order, global institution for world peace, which will feed you bugs and make sure you don't use up your carbon allotment.
Yeah, people may not know it, but the United Nations isn't the first attempt that they've had at this global government thing. After World War I, they had the League of Nations, and of course the United States at that time, I guess we had a much smarter constituency here. They saw through it. They didn't join into it. It fizzled out. And then it took another global conflagration to finally get everybody on board about, hey, maybe this idea of global governance to kind of keep everybody in check is a good idea. And they pulled the wool over everybody's eyes, got the United Nations going. And, we haven't had any major globe spanning great power wars, but we've just had a low simmer constantly for 75 years.
Their logo is a 45 with the barrel tied in a knot for global disarmament, but they seem to have failed at that attempt, except for you need to give up all your rights because a crazy gunman wherever went on a shooting spree under some type of CIA MK Ultra mind control program.
I was thinking about this the other day with the guy that shot up Maine. I've talked about, well played on the left and progressive for taking over the education system. Another thing that they've played excellently was their lack of mental health care. They always talk about, we need health care for everybody, but they've completely ignored mental health care. It's been to a great effect for them too. You have all these people with mental health problems in the cities now as homeless.
We've been through the biggest trauma-based mind control program of all time, the medical intervention of the last 3.5 years, right? I mean, yeah. I don't know. You guys are in Nebraska. I'm in California. It was so hardcore. It was so hardcore. Every TV, radio, the road signs, like nothing I've ever seen in my entire life. I lived here my whole 47 years of existence, born in Sacramento. And oh my God, talk about a mind control program, a trauma-based mind control program. Mm-hmm. So what about all that mental health fallout?
Yeah, well, and there's people, they got to have lingering effects from that whole thing, and there's no way for them to treat it.
About it. I'll probably never get over it for the rest of my life, what these assholes have done. Excuse me. I'm sorry to cuss like that, but
no, go ahead.
I get fired up when I start thinking about it even.
I'm trying to
compartmentalize it. I'm trying to compartmentalize it in these different sections, how they do the mind control program, to put it out of my mind for right now, but I'll never forget what they've done here now.
Good. We need to never forget what they've done to us, because if we forget about it, then they'll try it again. And it's like a boa constrictor. The boa constrictor squeezes you down until it gets the air out of you, and then you kind of exhale and try to take a breath, and then it squeezes you a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So, and then it loosens up a little bit to let you take a little bit of air in. And then when you exhale, it squeezes you down until you can't get any more air into you. And that's the way this power thing works.
That's the state. Yeah. Are we on YouTube? Am I allowed to talk freely?
Go for it. I mean,
I don't want to get you guys censored, but anyway, Anyway, I went to the hospitals here, and they shut off all access on the roads. And they had giant road signs. I have photos of it, everything, video documenting it, saying COVID-19, no visitors allowed, right? On these giant road signs, and you can't even get into the hospital to go see your loved ones. And it's just like insane what they did here. And I lived through it all, and I'm a part of a medical freedom group that's been fighting to expose the remdesivir and the rest of the COVID-19 hospital protocols that killed their family and friends, and not the actual, quote, COVID virus. It was the hospital protocols. And so we can't get that message out enough, and ever let anybody forget it and try to change history and say, oh, there's some virus like the Spanish flu in 1918, and that's what did it. No, it was the hospital protocols that did it, and it wasn't this virus they call COVID.
Yep. We may never know.
Get fired up about it because we can't forget. And then now we're moving on to World War III and whatever, collapse of economies and all this other, because they're doing all this to cover up the massive crimes against humanity that they just committed over the last 3.5 years with their virus that they launched.
Yeah, and nobody's taking the vaccine uptake is practically nothing.
Down to 2% right now. I was on Twitter saying that we need to lock all these people up in humanitarian quarantine camps that won't take the vaccine.
And I just saw another study yesterday. They figured out another side effect of the vaccine. It kills your gut microbiome.
That's all of them. That's all vaccines.
Yeah. Well, this one, it seemed to kill specific ones.
It does an extra special good job of that, huh?
Yeah.
So mandated on children, of course. Why not?
Yeah. So, just this study is like people that had the vaccine. I think it was Bifida. I don't know the exact scientific name, the particular bacteria, but it was non-existent compared to people that did not have the vaccine.
You didn't need that anyway. That's a racist and homophobic.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like they keep finding more things that this vaccine completely...
We knew it from the beginning. If anybody, that's why they banned Weaponized News from Facebook, YouTube, Google, Spotify, because I told them from the very beginning, from day one, brother.
Yeah, that's a lot of our no-no strikes were from, and now that it's being proven right, I mean, they're not going back on what they did. That's for sure.
You think that they're going to have a moment like in that South Park episode where the guy's laying naked on the bear rug going, "We're sorry." Or,
well, they just gave old Peter Hotez the key to the city in Houston, basically some type of award. I don't even know what it was. Stupid idiocy, but they're still giving out awards. Fauci just got a big award. And so they're marching forward with the agenda that they are the public health authority and we are nothing. And so we must listen to the experts, but without any regard for all the death and carnage that they've caused along the way. It's a simple, listen, guys, it's simple as go to your VAERS data, the vaccine adverse event reporting system data, look at that data and tell me why in God's name is this product still on the market. I don't want to go down that path with you guys, but I've been reporting on it for the last 3.5 years and it's hard to let go, but that's why I moved on with Simon to do around the world in 60 minutes geopolitical reporting, because honestly I'm burnt out on the COVID reporting. We proved it up one side, down the other, that stuff is bad, it's a fraud, they lied. I mean, how many doctors, scientists, lawyers do I need to have on to prove it? Experts on Team Humanity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You probably still have people out in California masking up, I would assume.
Not many. I'm in the Central Valley and Fresno area, and here we're a lot more conservative. And I got to admit, at certain points in times, I was the only person in the bank, in the grocery store, and anywhere not wearing a mask. And I had like flashes through my head. What if all these people come attack me and say that you're a super spreader or something, when the whole time I'm telling them I'm not part of the mind control program. I'm not part of the PSYOP. Wake up. What's going on with you people?
I'm the placebo. I'm the control.
But can you imagine how
But I flashed through my head, all these people are going to rush me and kill me because I'm the only one not wearing a mask. I never complied, never wore a mask through this whole thing. And but I had those thoughts go through my head. What if these people just all come bum rush me and kill me over it? It was crazy scary. Literally every single person wearing a mask but you. I don't know if you guys experienced it, but I did. And I was armed and ready for that to happen, but thank God it never did.
Yeah. How backwards and clowny is it that you walk into a bank and everybody is, everybody's giving you sideways glances because you're not covering your face.
I told them 6 months ago, if I walked in here wearing a mask, you guys would have called the SWAT team on me and probably killed me. And now you're saying I can't come in your institution without wearing a mask? Are you out of your mind? I said, you're wrong. I'm right. And you will serve me. Right. And so I made them serve me at a walk-up window at my bank because I refused to comply with the mask mandates. And I said, you will serve me. And there's a big old thick, like bulletproof glass window, right? With a little slot that you slip your check through and the cash through. And I'm like, look, you guys are wearing a mask inside with a bulletproof glass in front of us. You can handle my business here at this bank. And I finally convinced them to do that because I wouldn't comply at the stupid bank where I do business to process my financial transactions.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised California didn't get to the point where they were arresting people for not wearing masks.
They did. Oh. I got a buddy from Santa Cruz. I don't know if they arrested him, but he fought it back and forth. He does a show now too. SC Mountain Goat. Everybody should go check him out. Anyway, he's on Twitter and Rumble. He's a journeyman construction guy, and he wouldn't wear the mask finally because one of the jobs he was on. This is already late in the game. Like we're already like almost 3 years into the game, and they're still mandating masks on the job for him. And he's like, "No, I'm done." And he wouldn't wear the mask, and so they fired him. And then he did a video and viral, and he went on Tucker. Actually, got an interview on Tucker, and the rest is history. But that was his breaking point, and so props to him for standing up. But I don't know about arresting people. They did well. They arrested people for non-compliance. There's a waffle shop over here in Clovis, California, and they didn't comply with the lockdowns. They said, no, we're keeping our business open. We have to, or else we're going to go bankrupt. We got to pay the bills. We got to keep our business open as waffle shop. And then they sent the code enforcement in there, arrested the owner and said, no, you will lock down. You will shut your business. And they did do that. It wasn't specifically the mask. It was about keeping his restaurant open for his livelihood, but they did do that.
Yeah, they did the similar things in New York to gyms and bars and things like that. But I guess what was some of the weird ones that were open? Like bars were closed, but liquor stores were
houses, marijuana shops,
dispensaries,
whorehouses. All of your houses of ill repute are open, but not to go eat a waffle on Sunday morning with your family. That's not allowed.
Verboten. All right, yeah. So let's move on to something else before YouTube gets wind of what we're talking about.
Well, Facebook,
you guys are banned on YouTube already for having me on.
Facebook we got a TOS on Facebook and it stopped the stream. So
already, really?
That happens every week.
Yeah, it took a little longer this time, but
you should have told me. I'm sorry, I didn't know that we had to be friendly.
We don't care about Facebook anymore.
Yeah, it happens. It literally happens every week.
That's all your audience. How are you guys' audience doing on there?
On Facebook?
No reach?
I think it's 12K or so, but it doesn't push it out to anybody. So we haven't had anybody from Facebook show up on comments in a while, but we're doing pretty good on Rumble. Thanks to the Rumble guys. I see someone watching, and there's some people on YouTube. Thanks to them.
Yeah, if you guys are watching on Rumble right now, I'm watching the chat. We've got Simon's watching. He said something, and Florida Goon is watching. That's Brandon, one of the old timers that we've had on the show. Haven't had him on the show for a long time. But if you guys are if you guys are watching on Rumble right now, go ahead, get down in the chat, ask some questions, say some comments and stuff. Not only will I read it if you got something interesting to say, and we'll answer your question, but it also, leaving comments and stuff drives the algorithm and puts us higher into people's feeds. So, like it, share it, leave comments on the live stream. It really does help us out. So anyways, yeah, let's move on to kind of the topic du jour at the moment, which is Israel and Palestine.
I thought it was the shooting in Maine.
Okay. Yeah, all right, we'll pivot to that one instead, because that one's
honestly, I haven't been following it. It just sounds insane. All these are just becoming CIA MK Ultra mind control program.
Well, that one seems so obvious.
This is a great argument to disarm the government, because this guy was a government worker. He went and did a shooting. He was trained by the government to kill people, and he went and did it to disarm the government.
Well, right. He had threatened to shoot up a National Guard base. I guess he had terrible tinnitus, hearing loss from, he's a firearm instructor, and, anytime in the military, you're going to have some hearing loss. And he'd recently got hearing aids, and his sister, I don't know if you saw this story or not, and his sister had said when he got the hearing aids, he started hearing voices all the time.
Let's bring that up, because people were telling me, that I'm giving the benefit of that. I do know that the voice to skull technology exists, and there are these targeted individuals where they're doing this to. So I do know that, and I will acknowledge that. Do I know that this was his case? No.
Yeah, that's what seemed really weird, was he gets hearing aids. He starts hearing voices telling him, people that he knows, he hears them talking in his head for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And his sister would take him to these people and have a I wish I had the article. And she would have a conversation with these people, and they tell him, no, I've never said anything to you. I'm not transmitting stuff into your head. But he kept hearing these voices still. And he had threatened this summer, he had tried to kill himself, and he was committed for 2 weeks, and nothing happened. It just seems so weird.
He should be allowed to have firearms then, no?
He should what?
Be allowed to have firearms.
Well, I guess if they decided he's fine, but
yeah, the crazy stupid thing about it is like, if you get hearing aids and you start hearing voices in your head, logically you would assume to take the hearing aids out, because what I am going to say,
people are so brainwashed by this system, they love it and they think that it's the right thing to do.
Right, but I'm thinking that if he started hearing the voices after he got the hearing aids, it was probably a lowest bidder provided, VA provided hearing aid that wasn't properly EMF shielded.
You would think the guy would take it out of his ear if he's hearing voices, right?
Yeah, causation and correlation and all that shit, but it's probably wasn't properly EM shielded, and he was picking up radio signals, and he thinks he's hearing voices in his head.
Going on anyway, so he hears
right. Yeah, exactly, and so he starts hearing voices in his head, and he gets committed.
Put on a tinfoil hat, he would have been fine.
Exactly.
Probably. I mean.
There you go. Yeah. But, they involuntarily commit someone. And I always was under the impression that an involuntary commitment was grounds to have your firearms confiscated.
Red flag laws, yeah.
Well, not necessarily the red flag laws. An involuntary commitment is a confiscatory thing, because if you're crazy enough to drag you off to the loony bin, then you probably shouldn't be around guns. And I'm the biggest Second Amendment guy in the world. But hearing voices in my head telling me to kill people.
There's so much better ways you could do it than red flag. I mean, you could have a jury of citizens to meet on, if a person they could take the guns away, have a jury of citizens decide, is this guy a harm to the community? You bring it down to the lowest local level. The jury decides, this guy is absolutely nuts. We don't want him in our town with weapons. Fine. I'm a staunch Second Amendment guy, but at some point you've got to.
Isn't it all a bit contrived? I mean, the day before the White House is pushing quote assault weapon ban, which they always are, but I mean, Kamala was pushing that big time, our vice president, and it's like okay, and then next day there's a quote mass shooting, if we can believe any of this, and there's never any massive investigation. It's just they pump the trauma-based mind control program psyop.
Yeah, so I'm getting a little bit of information here.
But they're proposing take away one of our constitutional rights, our Second Amendment. And so to be able to do that, you need a massive investigation. We need full transparency, everything on the table. And we never get any of that. It's just the fear-based mind control program and the knee-jerk reactionary sympathy from the victims. And many of these shootings are so sketchy that we honestly deserve to ask these questions without being demonized and sued into oblivion for doing so.
Yeah, so I'm getting some information over here. Apparently, they found the guy dead.
Oh, okay. Well,
gunshot wound to the head.
I'm assuming that would happen.
I'm assuming self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. And somebody over here is saying that it wasn't an involuntary commitment. It was a inpatient intervention at an outpatient facility. So not an involuntary commitment, not confiscatory worthy or anything like that. But yeah, you are onto something when you say that they use incidents like this in order to gin up public support, and they will not
organic or engineered. Doesn't matter really. We don't ever get any full transparency, and it's always pulling on the heartstrings, and they always exploit every one of these tragedies to take away our rights. And it's wrong that the government and media do this.
Yeah. So, and they refuse to hear any arguments about what it is that's going on in our culture that is causing this, because they always want to go to the guns. AR-15 is a weapon of war and all this other thing. But the AR-15 has existed since the early 60s. The AKs existed since the late 40s. Semi-automatic centerfire rifles have existed and have been widely available in this country since the Winchester 1907. And that's not just a model number. That's the year that it was introduced for commercial sales. So it's not the semi-automatic rifles that are causing this, because we've had them for literally 115 years now. So it's got to be something that's going on in our culture. It's got to be something that's going on in our society. And there's a number of things that we can point to as being possible causes. But rather than taking the time and the care to look into any of these possible causes, whether it be the food, the assault on our hormones caused by any number of things that are in our water supply or in the drugs that we take, the programming that we get on television, any of the EMF radiation that is caused by all of our wireless devices and the power lines. I mean, there's a ton of things that we could look at as a possible cause for what's going wrong in people's
SSRIs.
heads. Yep, SSRIs. All of these things are possible causes that need to be looked into, but rather than doing that, the powers that be would rather say, nope, it's the guns, take them away.
You're bad for having self-defense rights.
Precisely.
They'll end up like Australia and England. But I listen to some Australian and English podcasts, and they've said multiple times on how America's like the last hope for freedom. I mean,
well,
as bad as that is,
we're the last hope for freedom, man.
We're the best of the worst in the world at this point, as far as
the worst in the world.
We are the best house in a bad neighborhood, but they are absolutely right, though, because what we have here, at least on paper, our constitutional republic system of government and our society exists nowhere else in the world. There is nowhere for us to run to. The people that are trying to fundamentally transform this country into something else, they say, I want to have health care like a European country. I want to have... Right, it's I want to have just any of the things that other countries have and have codified as rights, positive rights that we don't have here. I say, go there then. If that's your single topic, you are free to move to where the thing is that you want the most. The thing is, though, the thing that I want the most is I want a return in this country to our constitutional form of government. And if we lose that, if it ceases to exist, not just in practice, but on paper as well, if they do something like repeal the Second Amendment, repeal the Fourth Amendment, repeal the First Amendment, or at least put heavy restrictions on them through legislations that then get challenged in the court and shot down. If we lose that here, I have nowhere else to go. So that is the imperative, that we need to stand up for the things that we value here in this country, rather than bitch and complain about how Europeans have free health care.
Elon Musk is doing Mars exploration.
I'm not sure living under Lord Emperor Musk is much of a better option. But
the guy's trying to like create Dune or something with, you know, the God Emperor of mankind.
I mean, I get his point. I mean, we do need to have something off world at this point, but I don't know that I'd want to live under Musk. I might just rather die here than deal with that.
Well, that's our only option, is to go to Mars
or the moon.
The moon caves.
Yes, the derelict Nazi bases on the moon.
So this is our least best chance, or best least chance for liberty, is here in the United States of America.
Yeah, I mean, to decentralize the government, get the power back to the states, and we can have 50 tests going on. Of
what do you guys think about secession? Are any of these secessionist movements?
I mean, we've talked about I mean, there's no way they'd ever let it happen.
I personally I waffle back and forth on whether or not I'm for secession or the national divorce or a full-blown take back. Obviously non-violently, if it can be allowed to be that way. But one of the guests that we've had on a few times, Mike Shelby, he runs Forward Observer, and y'all need to go if you haven't done.
Yeah, you should check them out if you've never been there, Sam.
Yeah, Forward Observer. Mike Shelby, he said that at first the idea of the national divorce, just letting the lunatics have the coasts, and we'll build the laissez-faire utopia here in the center of the country. It sounds like an ideal plan. He's like, but no, Washington, D.C. and New York and Philadelphia, these are historic American cities with history and culture and character to them. Those are our ancestors.
You see they bragged about melting down the Robert E. Lee statue?
It's disgusting. It is absolutely
American
disgusting.
History they're bragging about destroying.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. Today it's Robert E. Lee. Tomorrow it's Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. And they're going to do that. They're going to ransack the nation's historical sites and retcon history to be the absolute awful place that they think it is.
Well, they don't teach any history either. I mean, like they keep calling people fascists, but the progressives have stepped way more towards fascism than
Ukraine flag in your social media profile.
Yeah, well, and now you're getting rid of the Jews if you're a progressive. You're all for the marriage of the state and business. The whole COVID thing, and you're supporting Ukraine, active Nazis over there.
Yeah, I'm a little bit sick of people throwing around the word fascist when they mean bigot. Fascism is a system of government. You tards mean bigotry. It's like when you say something against the transgender agenda, oh, you're a crypto fascist. I'm like, you don't know what either of those component words actually mean.
Crypto fascist, does that mean they're a fan of Benito Mussolini as opposed to Hitler? I don't.
XRP.
Yeah, I'm personally more of a fan of the cryptid fascists, zombie Hitler.
Sasquatch Hitler.
Yes, Sasquatch Hitler. Oh, it's one of those episodes, isn't it? Anyways,
I mean, we talked about fascists. We could jump right into Israel if we want to hit on that.
yeah. Okay, so I'm kind of torn, and I do want to get Sam's take on.
I want both teams to have a good time.
So I want both teams to have a good time, obviously, but I want to get Sam's take on this. So, looking at what they are doing over there, it really does look like they are gearing up for an ethnic cleansing campaign. And a lot of the rhetoric surrounding it, a lot of the solutions that are being proposed
Are there
to
any
take
final ones?
yes, a final solution for the Palestinian question, if you will. A lot of this is mirroring exactly what the Nazis said about the Jews in the 1930s. You just swap Nazi with Israel and Jew with Palestinian or Gazan, and you basically have exactly what was going on. So my question is, are they doing this with a 100% lack of self-awareness, or is this a piss take? Are they seeing just how far they can push the moral sensibilities of Western evangelical Christians before they say, hold up, I've seen this show before?
Well, they rolled out George W. Bush tonight to throw the first pitch at the World Series. So are we going back to, 20 years right after 9/11 to kill all Muslims because they attacked us? It seems they're using the same type of mind control propaganda program, like we're stupid and can't remember. And I still want 9/11 truth. We still don't even have never had a correct investigation about what went down about 9/11. We were lied to about 9/11, and the 9/11 Commission report is total BS. And we invaded the wrong countries, according to their own official reports, that 16 and 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia, but yet we invaded Afghanistan and Iraq looking for Osama bin Laden. And so I just find it very suspicious that why would George W. Bush go out to the World Series tonight at the Texas Rangers game and throw out the first pitch? Have they put us in this spin of history to throw us back and get us in the nostalgic age where we can all root USA, 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 kill some Muslims over there and feel good about ourselves after Madeleine Albright admitted that 500,000 dead Iraqi children was worth it for that bogus invasion over weapons of mass destruction that we never did find. If you remember, George Bush at that one speech was looking under his podium, making jokes about it, laughing. Where's the weapons of mass destruction? And it was all, they yucked it up. But how many Americans died? How many Iraqi died? How much money did we spend? How much goodwill capital did we burn? And so all of that needs to be taken into account. But yet we see George Bush tonight throwing out the first pitch of the World Series.
And it's funny that you should bring up the sort of culture rewind into the nostalgia for the early days of the global war on terror, because I shit you not, I saw an article pop up on Facebook last week saying that Toby fucking Keith is coming out of semi-retirement for a concert tour.
So are they running this the rewind on the war on terror? Did we ever really catch Osama bin Laden?
And I just want to play this. I'm sure.
Is he still around running Iran now? I mean, will they just come up with the most ridiculous? They already came up with the weapons of mass destruction where we have to blow up the Middle East to hunt down Osama bin Laden. So just come up with another ridiculous lie, and I guess USA, USA, USA.
Yeah.
Let's watch this. Russian elections are rigged. Political opponents are imprisoned or otherwise eliminated from participating in the electoral process. The result is an absence of checks and balances in Russia and the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Ukraine.
You never saw that one?
Putin invaded Iraq. I mean, come on.
And then he just kind of laughed it off, and everybody in the car, oh, George, brutal.
That right there is the most Freudian of Freudian slips. And why does he sound like he's got a mouthful of cotton?
Texas.
Texas.
Yeah, so I guess we'll find out what, I mean.
Connecticut.
Just throwing bones in his mouth. No, but I just wanted to get it out there that I found it bizarre. Why are you guys going to roll out George W. Bush? Now I guess the liberals love him because he's against Trump. It's all this idiocracy clown world.
Yep.
That's what brought about Barack Hussein Obama. For those that don't remember their history, is the whole country hated George Bush's guts after he did all these illegal foreign wars of aggression after 8 years. And so that brought about this unknown senator, Barack Hussein Obama, to get elected in a landslide. And now they're rolling out George W. Bush. Apparently, America loves him again at the World Series.
Yep. Jeez.
But so let's get back into Israel. What is going on in Israel, Palestine? Should we just kill everybody there, turn it into a parking lot? That's what the popular view is for the right-wing conservatives, apparently.
Apparently. See, I actually came up with a solution today. And this is, I think you're going to love this, right? Okay, so let me just, I'll caveat this at first and say that fully automated luxury communism is a fate that I would not wish on my worst enemy. However, the average IQ of a Palestinian is in like the mid double digits due to institutional and generational cousin marriage. So that puts them right at the level of the type of people who think that fully automated luxury communism is a good idea. So this might work. All right. So my solution is killing everybody in Palestine. I think anybody who's not infested with brain worms can agree that's a bad thing, right? Human rights violations,
like 2 million people, over 2 million people.
So here's my solution. Let's cast your mind back about 6 months to the story of the Line City in Saudi Arabia. You remember that one? I think you and Simon had a show about that.
Yeah, they did. They're still building it, apparently.
Right. Yeah. So this is what we can do. We can take all of the Palestinians and put them in the Line City, promise them a life of luxury and full fulfillment. Their water and food needs will be met forever. They'll have drones delivering their necessities. Of course, they won't have any expectations of privacy or personal security or anything, but they're living like that already now. So they can live exactly as they're living now, without the fear of white phosphorus raining down from the sky. That gets the Palestinians away from Israel. They're still in a majority Muslim country. They're taken care of with all of their human needs like food and water and medical care and everything like that. And the Line City will be full to capacity, so they won't try to stick any of us in it.
And Saudi Arabia can fit the bill instead of us paying for all this nonsense.
Isn't this a great idea?
Well, maybe I got to think about it, but I could get on board if we, if Saudi Arabia is paying the bill with it. It's their great idea, so let them pay for it.
But even taking a compromise on that, I mean, how much territory would it save if they just built a Line City in Gaza? And then
we are overpopulated, as everybody knows.
If they built the Line City in Gaza, that would just be a bigger target for Israel. And we know that Israel wants that land because of the natural gas deposit that's off the shore. So I'd say just let them have it. Like,
let's get to the meat of the subject here. And these radical fanatics want to bring about Armageddon, to bring about the second coming of Christ. I mean,
go figure. Evangelicals misread their Bible.
That seems to be the meat of the matter to me. That's very concerning. That makes me think that forget about money, natural resources, anything. These people believe they're on a mission from God, and they are truly possessed by some type of spirit that makes them think that it's their duty to bring about to fulfill the biblical prophecies according to their interpretation.
Right. So I'm gonna lay a real thick topic out here for any evangelicals who may see this right now. God, Almighty God, creator of the universe, does not need your help. Jesus will come back on his own time. He does not need your help to do so. The thing about prophecies is they are not a roadmap to proactively go to a destination. Prophecies are intentionally vague because they are supposed to be looked back on in retrospect and been like, oh, hey, there was that sign. Or they're supposed to be looked at in the present tense to be like, you know what, this sounds familiar. I'm going to look into this. They're not meant to be proactively pursued, like the red heifer being born. Something that has like a 1 in 5 billion chance of happening naturally. So, hey, let's just fire up the CRISPR machine and make it happen. the beginning of the construction of the third temple of Solomon. Oops, the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock is in the way. Let's start a war with everybody around us in the hopes that an errant missile is going to demolish it. And then, oopsie, guess we're going to have to build something in its place.
I've seen evangelical ministers, pastors, whatever you want to call them, psychopaths, calling to blow it up and fulfill the prophecy.
Right.
And so I agree with you. Man, with your little ideas in your little head, is not supernaturally going to fulfill the prophecy. You need to let God sort that out in its own time, not march toward it by bioengineering red cows.
Yeah, it's like, do they think that God is taking a nap and he's got his alarm set for Third Temple of Solomon? Like what do you idiots think that you're doing?
You need some help with bioengineering.
Right, yeah. The omnipotent being that created every living thing in the universe in 7 days suddenly needs your help to make one red cow.
The way I
Fuck
see it
off.
is you Christians should be pissed off that these mad scientists are messing with creation and polluting it and trying to be God, but they seem to have no problem with that whatsoever.
Well, not just that, but attempting to force the hand of prophecy, to me, it implies a great deal of doubt in the power of God. If you are so impatient or so short-sighted or so stupid
or so satanic
or yes, or so satanic that you think that you can force the hand of God to fulfill the prophecy that he gave to John the Revelator, then you have a serious doubt problem. It's not the rest of us that have the problem, sir or ma'am. It is you.
Well, the fundamentalist maniacs seem to be in control of Congress, in control of Israel. They got their finger on the button now, and it's extremely concerning that they believe they're on a mission from God, like the Blues Brothers would say, and they believe in the faith, as they say, to carry out the mission to bring about the second coming of Christ through fulfilling the biblical prophecy of Armageddon.
Yeah, and can you imagine how pissed off Jesus is going to be when he gets woken up from his 2,000-year nap early?
By these maniacs?
By these maniacs. Yeah, so, yeah, there's that. And then there's the other kind of elephant in the room that not a lot of people talk about with what's going on in Israel, and that is the nuclear extortion, the Samson option. Have you heard about this one, guys?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so Israel, as we know, is a nuclear power. They have about 300 nuclear weapons that we know about. The Samson option, if you cast your mind back to the story in the Bible, was when Samson lost his strength. He was tied up in the temple. They were, torturing him and ridiculing him because he had lost all of his strength. And he prayed out to God to give him one last burst of strength in order to take out the enemies of God. God granted him this wish, and he pulled the chains and collapsed the temple on top, taking himself and everyone else out with him, right? So the Samson option is that Israel, of course, if they have these nuclear weapons, they have them pointed at the capitals of their enemies. They're pointed at Damascus and Tehran and Gaza and everything else. But they're also pointed at capitals of Europe. And the Samson option is, you will help us in our time of need, or I will take us all out. That's the Samson option. That's fucked up. Your thoughts?
Does Israel have that? Do we know how many nukes they have? I mean, is there any estimate?
We don't know. It's humanitarian in nature, because Netanyahu admitted that he volunteered the Israeli people to be a laboratory for Pfizer.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
Well, they claim it's a humanitarian in nature.
Well, what's going on in Israel and Gaza right now, I don't think that they have a whole lot of room to talk about humanitarian issues.
Everybody seems to have forgotten that the great leader there, Netanyahu, it's all over the place, working with Pfizer. Barola said that we're giving away the genetic code. They wanted to institute the vaccine passport, and on it goes, a total biomedical police state. And so we volunteered all Israelis to be part of it, and everybody could go see him saying all these things, but yet somehow he is the good one that cares about the Israeli people, as just less than a year ago, he volunteered them all to be signed up for this insane experiment put on by Pfizer.
Well, it's interesting you bring up Jewish DNA. Did you see that news about the 23andMe hack?
No.
I mean, 23andMe got hacked, and it wasn't really a hack. It was just people with sloppy passwords, and they used it to they would get passwords on another thing and try it on 23andMe. But the strange thing was, one of the groups they were specifically targeting downloading genetic data for was Jewish people on 23andMe.
Huh.
I saw that.
Yeah, it just seemed like such a weird.
Well, they have the capability to create race-specific bioweapons, and Bobby Kennedy Jr. came out and said that, and they said, "Oh, you're an anti-Semitic Jew hater," and it's like, no, they have this technology. Just go read the scientific literature, and you can see they say, I don't know anything, right? I'm just telling you, I'm just reporting what they say. They could be lying, because they lie about everything. They, as in quote, the establishment, official sources of information. But this is what they say, is they have the capability to target specific ethnicities through their different cell lines, which are different according to quote their science. And so therefore they have the ability to create race-specific bioweapons.
Huh.
Yeah, that's a can of worms that a lot of countries don't want to open, because
if you point that out, then you're a bad bigot, hater of racism. It's like, no, I'm just saying what they say they have the capability to do, and don't use any of these weapons on anybody.
Yeah. So I'm getting a thing over in the chat right now. One of my friends says that the Israeli kid that was the vaccine program's poster child recently died of a heart attack.
Yeah, it's a horrific story. Yeah.
Yeah, he's looking for the link right now, but I'm
like 8 years old or something. Yeah.
That's absolutely insane.
Died of a massive heart attack.
Yeah,
just a coincidence.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely a coincidence. 8-year-olds have heart attacks.
He saw graphic footage of what the Palestinians did, and it gave him a heart attack. Think of the children.
Yes,
could have been. That's another reason why we got to get rid of them damn Muslims.
Yeah. Well, we got a couple minutes left. We didn't even touch on domestically. We had the speaker.
Yes, Speaker of the
And
House.
did I see something? He's one of these crazy fundamentalists that we were talking about, or
Well, that's what I was saying. We have a video that Simon discovered for our show that we did right before your guys' show, and there's a crazy video of Mike Johnson, the new Speaker of the House, with Jim Jordan, like 4 years ago, right before COVID, going on a tour of Israel, and it's pretty insane. It feels like a ritual indoctrination type of thing, where he even says in there he's new to the faith. This is Mike Johnson says, I'm new to the faith, and I'm assuming this is a evangelical Christian faith and not Zionism, but of course they're tied together. They're tied together here like a knot, evangelical Christians and Zionism. So we just call them Christian Zionists. But watch that video, and it's extremely disturbing if you look at it in the context of this guy's being indoctrinated into a cult right now. And they're showing us the video of it, cheering it on how great it all is.
Yeah, I'm a little bit torn about Mike Johnson because like all of the right people hate him.
Yeah, same
and
here.
he
The amount of that he caused.
and he's said some pretty good things on some topics that need to have a decisive hand.
Unlimited funding for Israel, unlimited funding for Ukraine.
See, but that Ukraine thing, that strikes me as a little bit odd, because he voted for the initial funding for Ukraine way back at the beginning, and then he's voted against every single aid package for Ukraine up until he gets the speakership. So I'm starting to wonder.
74 on the Liberty score.
Yeah, it's
a C minus.
He
votes liberal 25% of the time.
I still don't understand how he got it. I mean, some people said he got it because he keeps such a low profile. People are just like, oh, sure, whatever.
To me, it seems contrived that they set up Jordan knowing he would fall as a stalking horse, and then bring this guy in the back door. His understudy, Jim Jordan, was his mentor. And so bringing his understudy that no one is really aware of, and before you know it, bing, bang, boom, slam dunk, he's in. And it's the same thing as Jim Jordan, essentially. And I agree with you. He has a lot of great rhetoric. They ran the weaponization of federal government congressional committee hearings that, the federal government are corrupt, lying criminal scum, censoring, spying on the American citizens, weaponized against us. And so all of that's come out. But what do we get out of any of that? Just more humiliation, more rubbing it in our face. No one ever gets in trouble. No one even gets fired. Maybe one or two guys from the FBI got fired. But I mean, we don't ever get any justice out of it after all of our rights have been violated. And so to me, it just feels like one giant occult humiliation ritual, demoralization ritual as we go down the path to full-born communism, possible Armageddon, destruction of all of our civil liberties, all of our constitutional rights, and one world government one way or another.
Yep. So, Ben, you said you didn't know how he got into the position that he's in, but if you take a look at what actually happened, it's almost exactly how Joe Jorgensen got the 2020 nomination for the Libertarian Party. Mike Johnson was like everybody's number 2 choice. And they went through all of the rounds of voting, and everybody's number 1 choice was just falling short. And then one of the members of Congress stood up and said, because all of the so-called front runners are so contentious, can we just take a floor vote for nominating the number 2 place? And it's actually Kevin McCarthy was the only objection to that. He said that, that's Sam's representative,
my congressman.
Yeah, there you go. As an aside, Sam, do you feel represented by Kevin McCarthy?
I've never felt represented in my 47 years of being a California citizen over here by any politician ever.
Yeah. Well, so anyways,
but I'm up to date on paying my taxes, so go figure. So they'll send men with guns to my house eventually if I don't pay my income taxes, which are voluntary, by the way. But you better pay them or you will be fined into oblivion and eventually wind up in jail.
Well, you gotta get a boat and do the John McAfee option.
Or start a private foundation, apparently.
Apparently.
Well, I was hoping they'd throw Byron Donalds up there just for the cognitive dissonance it would cause.
That was my guy right there because he has 100% Liberty score. He's black, and how can you smear him? But they didn't apparently like that option. They like the Christian Zionist fanatic Mike Johnson.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see how that plays out.
Yeah, hopefully he backs down on this weird Israel and Ukraine funding thing, and he follows
I'll have
through.
I'll have to go watch that video you talked about.
He has great red meat rhetoric for conservatives. I have no doubt about it, and I cheer that rhetoric on. But can we trust them on these other more esoteric issues that you have to dig into a little bit and like peel the curtain back and go, wait a minute, what's going on here? And like you said, how did this guy rise up out of obscurity to fill this position, and why? Unless it's all been contrived and Paul.
Yeah, that's the thing that scares me. It's like, is there a video of him with a little boy or something, and they're holding it over his head? Or, I mean, nothing against the guy, but it seems like when you rise up through the ranks that quick, and you're, maybe they have dirt on you, and you're willing to do whatever they say.
Look at Barack Hussein Obama, a first-term senator out of Illinois that became president of the United States.
Yep.
Because everybody hated George W. Bush so bad. And now he's throwing out the first pitch of the World Series once again to bring it all back around for everybody.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's an hour, and I'd say that's a good place to stop it because I still have to take a shower and I got work at 4:00 in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Sam.
Hey, thank you guys. I hope I didn't talk too much and steal all your airtime, but I was trying to make up for Simon stealing all my airtime.
We didn't even
love you guys, and I really appreciate it. And I hope you can come on our show soon, and we'll continue to cross promote and pump up that balloon for liberty and call out these criminals, man.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed what you see here today, please like and share. Give us a comment down on Rumble or Facebook or YouTube or anywhere else that you may be watching us. You can go to Rhodes, 2, liberty.com and pick yourself up some freedom swag. Throw a few shekels our way. It'll help keep letting us do what we're doing. We only do this about once a week because Ben and I have other jobs. So, but yeah, every little bit helps. Like I said, like and share. Special thank you to our guest, Sam Chaney from weaponizednews.com. If you haven't gone over there to check out his merchandise, go ahead and do that. He's got some neat things over there, and you can follow him on Twitter and Rumble, and what's the other one? Rockfin. I've never even been
Twitter,
to that.
Rumble, Rockfin. We're trying to do Facebook and Facebook friendly content.
Good luck.
Yeah, Twitter, Rockfin, Rumble, Odyssey, and Facebook. It's friendly content.
Yeah. So from your friendly neighborhood domestic extremists, thank you all for watching. And Ben, what do we close out with?
Stay honky.